Well, to get me pages in order. A bit late on the speech, but what an honour. I got a pretty handy individual award last season regarding coaching, and it pales in significance compared to this. I, like most people, played footy and started playing footy because I love the game and still love it just as much, although I can't play it anymore. For those that have asked, yes, I am still at my playing weight, in case it doesn't look like it. But I love playing the game, and things, awards along the way. I've had a couple, and they're nice to reflect on, but this to me is much more than a footy award. I drove past, on the way up here today, I drove past the Sunbury footy ground where I started my junior footy, and it was about 20 to 10 and the under-18s were out in the oval. There was no one there, just 20 under-18s from both sides warming up, and that brought back memories. No one in the crowd, dew on the ground, but it was just that, that's what I really loved about footy, just playing footy with my mates, and it really does take you back. And although I had some great times at North Albury, I just go back to friends more than anything else, and to see some people here tonight that I haven't seen for 6 or 7 years and didn't know were going to be here, I just feel really privileged. There's a few people I'd like to thank. Probably the people that had the biggest impact on me in my time at North Albury, and there was a lot, and it doesn't feel right sometimes singling people out, but the people that had the biggest impact on me, my first coach at North Albury, Ernest Whitehead, taught me a lot about how to get the best out of players, and I used that, I thought, in my later years as a player to try and get it out of my teammates, and now as a coach. But Ernest had a real skill in getting the best out of people. Bob Craig, I'll forever be grateful to Bob Craig for the opportunities he gave me at representative level. Through the Ovens and Murray and the VCFL, the first thing people want to talk about still when they talk about my footy was the time that I spent at the VCFL and being fortunate enough to captain that, which no doubt was Bob's influence, so I'll be forever grateful to Bob. The McLean family, who got a mention before, but Rod's the reason I'm up here tonight, I guess the biggest individual reason. The first time I met Rod, he talked me into travelling up for a couple of years. When I had enough of that, he talked us into relocating to North Albury, and the whole McLean family, Lynn, Brendan, my dear friend Chris, really meant a lot to me. And if that was all I got out of my time at North Albury, to meet people like that was well worth the effort. I'd also like to thank Rod Malavi, who obviously has had a bit of involvement tonight. Rod introduced me to aspects of footy, and in particular coaching, that I never knew anything about. And although maybe I thought one day I might want to get into coaching, in hindsight I knew nothing about it until I spent some time with Ernest Whitehead and Rod Malavi. Rod's ability to dissect opposition sides, individuals, their strengths and weaknesses, the amount of effort he put into the opposition analysis, they're just things that really, I guess, that lit the candle for me to really want to be a coach, and I'll be forever grateful to those people and the impact they've had on me at the North Albury Footy Club. I've played with some great players. I didn't know if someone would be up here asking me who the best were, but I think of players like Mark Hilton, who made me a better player reading the footy off his fist, and Brandon Ryan, who I thought was a good bloke until he went past me in B&Fs at North Albury with 4. Good on you, Swanee. But the best by far, the best player that I've played with at any level is Dan Leslie. He's a superstar, and I really enjoyed watching him play today. To be doing what he's doing at 35 or whatever you are, Les, is just unbelievable. So some other people that I spent a lot of time with as a coach, you start to learn a lot about who your mates are in tough times. And Brent Pilt's come to Murderford with me for a couple of years, and then back to North Albury, and the time we spent together talking about footy. Matty McDonald, for his time as an assistant coach of mine at North Albury. Mick Minogue, I had a great relationship and still got a great relationship with Mick. Went through a fair bit together at North. And Doggy Rowlands, who Doggy was my first assistant coach at North Albury and helped me out in the box, so I'd just like to thank him. Just some other people that I'd like to mention on my table tonight. Janine's parents, Tony and Geraldine, who drove around the countryside following Janine and me when we played in South Australia and Albury. To my mum and dad, Jeff and Cheryl, I never really seem to thank you. You sort of, you're just always there, and you obviously sacrificed a lot for me to be able to do what I loved when I was younger. And it's probably about time I thank you for it. You always taught me to treat people with respect, be honest with people, and you've always set that example for your kids. A couple of things that have stuck with me right throughout my footy, things that mum and dad have told me. Dad always said if you do the wrong thing, you put your hand up and you cop it on the chin. But if you haven't done the wrong thing and someone tries to put something on you didn't do, stand your ground, never take a backward step. Never forgotten that. And Mum, if someone hits you, hit them back twice as hard. I don't know if you want to claim that, but that was primary school, high school footy. So that's something. They're two things that I felt I took right through my footy career, and things that I've never given any thought to be honest, until a night like this and you start to reflect. I reckon I'm just about done. There might be someone else. To Janine, again, the best Janine ever gets is thanks Janine, but for those that don't know, Janine and I met when I was playing at Sunbury. After one season of that, I took off to South Australia. Janine, after knowing me for about 12 months, left her job and moved to South Australia with me so I could have a crack at playing at a higher level of footy. Wouldn't have gone by myself. I'd still be playing at Sunbury, I reckon, if it wasn't for Janine. So then when we moved back, she travelled to North Albury 2 years, never missed a week in the car. That obviously, to me, it was more than just footy. We made some great friends up here in 2 years that we travelled, obviously enough to make us relocate. When we moved up, Janine was pregnant with Chloe, our first, and it's a pretty big thing to leave your job, pregnant, go away from your family, move all the way up to Albury, but that's the sort of support that I've had. To say that behind every good man's a good woman is a massive understatement in my case, and I think those that know me would know that I'd be pretty average without Janine. For me, the biggest highlights, no doubt, the two premierships, 99 and 202. 99 I felt very fortunate, jump in the car, drive up for weekends, kick the footy around, and all of a sudden I'm part of this whirlwind flag and probably played an important part in it, but felt very fortunate to walk into that. 2002, I was obviously living up here and more a part of the group, and the things that we achieved. I watched North Albury today, obviously, and you see some young kids learning their craft, and they really had a crack, and that's what I love about North Albury. There's a certain thing we used to talk about when I coached the boys in my last couple of years about, it was always a little bit us against them, but it was about North Albury, and that we had something that other clubs didn't have. And I think as long as you believe that, because it's true, it's always going to be worth a few goals to you. But we just had a real belief back in 2002 and a confidence in each other. The back line that I played in, say how fortunate I was, we had Robbie Murray, Clint Eckhart, Darren Elliott. A lot of you young guys might not know these players, but Mark Hilton, Dan Leslie, and myself. It was a pretty handy back six, and it was just great to play footy with those guys. Always respect the way they went about it, and I was always fortunate enough to get looked after by those guys, and I've got no doubt they made me a better player. 2010, my last year at the club, my last year coaching, it was a really special year for me. I'd say to everyone now, even though I was fortunate enough to win a premiership last year at Bacchus Marsh, the 2010 year was my favourite year of coaching by a long, long way. And last year, although the success was there, that's what you're after, it just doesn't come close to what I had with that group, what I felt I had with that group, and the group that we had. I felt like we really squeezed everything we had out of the group we had against some pretty big powerhouses in Albury and Yarrawonga, but if I could bottle what we had in that group, I'd just take it with me everywhere. It was a really special year. I'd just like to thank everyone in the North Albury community. Again, I can't thank everyone individually, but I think back to just trainers and volunteers, all the people I've come across in my time at North Albury. To be honest with you, there's not a week that goes by in my life where where part of me doesn't wish that I was still involved in the North Albury Footy Club on a regular basis. And I mean that. I check the scores every week, always talking to the boys to try and find out what's going on. There's a big part of me wishes I was still here, and just so many great times and so many great people. And I feel extremely honoured and fortunate. Thank you very much.